In today's world, society has a way of shaping people. From a young age, we're told how to think, what to want, and who we're supposed to be. It starts with school, then continues through media, trends, and even workplace culture. It's a system built on reward and fear. Do what's expected and you'll be accepted. Step out of line and you'll face rejection or silence. Most people fall into it. They adopt the rules. They follow the crowd. They chase what others are chasing without ever asking why. But the Sigma male is built differently. He doesn't accept the surface of things. He questions what he sees. He thinks for himself even when no one agrees with him. That's what makes brainwashing nearly impossible when it comes to the Sigma male. He's not just independent in action, he's independent in thought. His mind doesn't bend to outside pressure, and he doesn't seek approval to validate his beliefs. He operates from a place of internal clarity, not public opinion. This ability to resist society's influence doesn't happen by accident. It's developed through experience, solitude, self-reflection, and constant questioning. While others are shaped by the world, the Sigma male shapes himself. People might call him distant, rebellious, or stubborn. But what they don't see is that this distance gives him freedom. This resistance gives him power. And this stubbornness keeps him rooted in truth when the world is full of lies. In this video, we're going to explore the reasons why the Sigma male can't be brainwashed, why the usual tricks don't work on him, and why his way of thinking makes him one of the most mentally untouchable personalities you'll ever meet. Reason number 1. Deep self-reliance shields the mind from the outside. Self-reliance can look like a personality trait. But for the Sigma male, it runs much deeper than that. It's a full mental structure, something he builds and relies on every day. This self-reliance is what protects him from being mentally pulled in by society's systems. Most people depend on outside sources for everything: how to think, what's true, how to live. They follow news, trends, influencers, and even friends to decide how to feel about the world. But the Sigma male doesn't give up that kind of control. He understands that true independence starts in the mind. When society pushes a message, he doesn't just accept it. He steps back, watches, questions, and decides for himself. His thoughts aren't shaped by the loudest voice. They're shaped by what he's learned through his own experience. That makes him hard to manipulate, because you can't force someone who doesn't depend on you. This self-reliance shows up in simple ways. He doesn't panic when others do. He doesn't change his views just to avoid conflict. He stands on his own, not because he wants attention, but because that's his natural position. He's used to handling things alone, solving problems quietly, and thinking through situations without needing a second opinion. Even when he's wrong, he learns from it. He doesn't blame others or shift responsibility. That's what makes his mind so strong. He trusts himself more than he trusts the system. And because of that, the system can't shape him. Society's biggest tool is fear. Fear of failure, of being wrong, of being left out. But the Sigma male has already walked through that fear. He's been alone. He's made unpopular choices. And he's learned how to survive without needing constant support. That's why brainwashing doesn't land. There's no opening to get in. His mind is already owned by him. Reason number 2. Clear identity prevents influence. Most people are still figuring out who they are. They try on different labels. They follow the crowd. They switch views depending on who they're around. This makes them easy to sway, because a person who doesn't know who they are will believe whatever makes them feel accepted. But the Sigma male is different. His identity isn't built on outside approval. It's built on solid, tested truth. He knows who he is, what he believes, and where he stands. That clear identity acts like a shield. It keeps influence out. This doesn't mean he's closed-minded. He's open to learning, to growing, to changing when it makes sense. But the key difference is that he chooses the change. It doesn't come from pressure. It comes from understanding. That kind of clarity is rare, and it's powerful. It means he can walk into any room and not lose himself. He doesn't adjust his values to fit the vibe. He doesn't play along just to keep the peace. If something doesn't match his code, he walks away. It also means he's not desperate to belong. Most people shift their behavior just to feel accepted. They give up their opinions. They go along with things that feel wrong. The Sigma male doesn't need that. His sense of self is so grounded that being different doesn't shake him, it strengthens him. This is one of the main reasons brainwashing fails, because it works best on minds that are searching for identity. But the Sigma male isn't searching. He's already found it. And that foundation keeps him steady in a world that's always trying to reshape him. Reason number 3, intense skepticism for social narratives. The Sigma male doesn't believe something just because everyone else does. He doesn't follow the popular opinion just to feel safe. Instead, he questions everything. And that skepticism is one of the most powerful tools against brainwashing. Society runs on shared stories. What's normal? What's acceptable? What success looks like? These stories are repeated everywhere through media, education, politics, and culture. Most people absorb them without thinking. They go along because that's what they were taught to do. But the Sigma male breaks that pattern. He doesn't accept a story just because it's common. He asks, who benefits from this message? What's the motive behind it? Does it line up with reality, or is it just noise? This questioning isn't about being negative. It's about staying awake. The Sigma male knows that most narratives are designed to guide behavior, not uncover truth. So he stays on alert. If something feels forced, he digs deeper. If something sounds too perfect, he steps back. He reads between the lines. He listens to what's not being said. And he watches how people react, not just to what's true, but to what they're told is true. That observation gives him an edge. While others are swept up in the emotion of a message, he's breaking it down piece by piece. This habit makes him resistant to all kinds of influence, marketing, peer pressure, social trends, even politics. He doesn't get pulled into groupthink because he's not afraid to be the one who thinks differently. And that's where his freedom lives, in the space between what's expected and what's real. Brainwashing relies on blind agreement. But the Sigma male doesn't do blind. He does his own thinking. And that makes him untouchable to anyone trying to control how he sees the world. Reason number 4, minimal need for validation breaks social control. People who crave approval are easy to lead. They do what earns praise. They avoid what brings judgment. That's how society keeps most people in line, by rewarding agreement and punishing disagreement. But the Sigma male doesn't operate on that system. He doesn't need approval to act. He doesn't fear being misunderstood. This lack of need for validation breaks the chain. When praise doesn't move you and criticism doesn't shake you, society loses its grip. You're no longer controlled by what others think. You're guided by what you know is right. The Sigma male doesn't seek applause. He doesn't wait for permission. He chooses his actions based on principle, not popularity. That's why you'll often see him going against the grain. Not to rebel, but because he simply doesn't care if people agree. This trait makes him especially dangerous to systems that run on group behavior. If a crowd can be controlled by status or shame, then anyone who's immune to those tools becomes a problem. The Sigma male is that problem. He can't be pushed by fear of being disliked because he never needed to be liked in the first place. He also doesn't base his worth on how many people approve of him. He doesn't dress for compliments. He doesn't speak just to be agreed with. He's not here to win a popularity contest, he's here to live on his terms. Without that deep need for validation, he becomes unshakable. You can't lure him with rewards. You can't silence him with rejection. And you definitely can't brainwash him by telling him what a good person is supposed to think. Because he already knows who he is. And that's all the validation he'll ever need. Reason number 5. Thriving in solitude limits external impression. One of the most overlooked reasons why society struggles to control the Sigma male is this: he spends most of his time alone. And that solitude protects his mind like a fortress. Most people are constantly surrounded by messages. Ads, opinions, gossip, noise. They're always plugged in. Always reacting. Always comparing. That non-stop input wears them down. Over time, they start to believe the messages they hear the most, whether they're true or not. But the Sigma male lives differently. He carves out space to think. He limits noise. He keeps his inner world clear by keeping the outside world at a distance. That's not weakness. That's strategy. In solitude, he gets clarity. He sees what others can't because he's not buried in distractions. He uses that quiet time to reflect, to review, to sharpen his thinking. And because of that, outside voices lose power over him. He's not getting his worldview from group chats or viral posts. He's not shaping his opinions based on what's trending. He's disconnected from the constant stream, and that's what makes him so steady. People don't understand why he turns down invites, why he chooses silence over noise. But it's in that silence where his power grows. He's not alone because he can't connect. He's alone because it keeps his mind clean. This doesn't mean he avoids people. He can move through the world just fine. But when it comes to protecting his thoughts, he knows that space is strength. And that solitude isn't a weakness, it's a shield. Brainwashing depends on exposure, on repetition, on emotional overload. But the Sigma male keeps his distance. He watches from the outside. And because of that, the usual tools of control never reach him. Reason number 6. Authentic internal values override fads. Trends come and go. What's right today might be mocked tomorrow. Society shifts its standards constantly, what you should wear, believe, support, or stay away from. Most people keep up with it all, afraid of being left behind. But the Sigma male doesn't chase any of it. He lives by a personal code, and that code doesn't change with the crowd. These internal values aren't picked up from social media or copied from others. They're built over time, from experience, quiet thought, and real-world testing. That's what makes them unshakable. They aren't borrowed, they're earned. Because of that, the Sigma male doesn't move when society pushes. He doesn't panic when the world changes direction. He doesn't follow movements just because they're popular. He filters every message through his values. If it lines up, he considers it. If it doesn't, he drops it. Simple. This grounded way of thinking keeps him from being pulled in by every new wave of influence. While others scramble to update their image, beliefs, or behavior to match what's trending, the Sigma male stays still. That's not stubbornness, it's clarity. He knows what matters to him. He's tested it. He's lived it. And no public campaign or popular figure is going to shake that foundation. When people try to shame him into changing, it doesn't work. When they try to flatter him into agreement, it falls flat. His loyalty is to truth, not popularity. And truth for him is not something you vote on, it's something you live by. That's why society struggles to touch him. Because the tools that work on most people, fear, approval, shame, distraction, don't work on someone whose values are locked in. The Sigma male doesn't just act different. He thinks different. And it shows in every decision he makes. The world is full of systems trying to shape how you think, what you believe, and how you behave. Most people don't even realize it's happening. They absorb messages without question. They follow the current without knowing where it leads. But the Sigma male doesn't get swept up. He stands apart, not because he's trying to rebel, but because he's already free. We've looked at 6 powerful reasons why society can't brainwash him. It's not magic. It's mindset. A deep foundation built on self-reliance, clear identity, constant questioning, emotional independence, quiet solitude, and solid personal values. Every one of these reasons makes it harder for outside influence to take hold. And together they form a full system of protection. A mental firewall that blocks the noise, filters the lies, and lets only what matters through. This is what makes the Sigma male dangerous, not to people, but to the systems that rely on blind obedience. He doesn't fall in line. He doesn't echo back what he's told. He thinks for himself, acts for himself, and lives by his own rules. In a world full of followers, he stays centered, focused, free. And that's exactly why society can't control him.